Hello everybody. In this video I'll be talking about proportional relationships. Um, Also keep in mind this is the last section of the chapter, so get ready for the chapter 4 test, which will be coming up shortly. Okay, so we're going to talk about proportional relationships. So let's pretend we're talking about Mr. Vanier and his biking practice. And so in 2 hours he can ride 13 miles on his bike. In 4 hours he can ride 26 miles. In 5 hours he can ride 32.5 miles. And in 7 hours he can ride 45.5 miles. So what we want to figure out is, based on this chart here, based on this table, can we determine if there is a proportional relationship between time, hours, and distance, miles? And so to determine this, we can set up these fractions and see if they're equal. So 2 over 13. The 0, 0 obviously won't work. We're not going to worry about that, because obviously when you don't ride a bike for any amount of time, you don't go any amount of miles. So we're going to forget about that one. But we can turn this 2 over 13 into a fraction. And we want to know if that's equal to 4 over 26. There's a couple ways we can determine that. This one might be pretty obvious. If you multiply both the top and bottom by 2, you get 4 and you get 26. So these two fractions are in proportion, they are equal. So now the question is 4 over 26, or 2 over 13 for that matter, going to be equal to 5 over 32.5? This one, not so easy using this technique. So we might have to do some cross products. So let's do 4 times 32.5 and see if that is going to be equal to 5 times 26. Well, 4 times 32.5 I know is 32.5 times 2, which is 65, and then times 2 again, which is 130. And 5 times 26 is the same as 10 times 26, which is 260, divided by 2, which is 130. So I know now that these are equal. And the last thing I need to figure out is this one, 7 over 45.5 equal? Now I could try it by doing cross products here, but those numbers are getting a little large, so I'm going to go figure out if it works down here, because we've already determined that 2 over 13 is already equal to every fraction we've written so far. So I'm going to use cross products here because I think it'll be a smaller number. So does 45.5 times 2 equal 13 times 7? Well, 45.5 times 2 is 91. And 7 times 10 would be 70. And 7 times 3 is 21. So that is 91. So it is true in this case that there is a proportional relationship between the time and distance in this chart. Okay, something else we can use with proportions here is we can figure out unit rates, and we can do this from a graph. So let's pretend that we are graphing Mr. Paulson's reading speed, and it looks like let me move this down a little bit, looks like in 2 days he can read 40 pages, and in 4 days he can read 80 pages. So question is, how do we find his unit rate? So if he reads 40 pages in 2 hours, we want to know how many pages in 1 hour, because the unit rate is always when you have a 1 on the bottom of your fraction. Well, the cool thing about having this graph is we don't have to do any math. All we have to do is look at the picture, because here's 1 hour right here. And it says that 20 pages in 1 hour. So just by looking at the graph, we figured out his unit rate, which is 20 pages. Oh, not hour, I'm sorry. These were days. My bad. My bad. 20 pages in 1 day is his unit rate. Awesome. So graphs can be used to quickly figure stuff out. All right, let's check out one more thing that we can do with proportions and unit rates here. So can we find a unit rate using a ratio? So let's say Chaplain Amber is making blankets in her sewing club. I don't think it's a sewing club, but I can't think of the word right now. Anyway, and it takes 16 yards of cloth to make 8 blankets, or 32 yards of cloth to make 16 blankets, or 40 yards of cloth to make 20 blankets. The question is, can we use a ratio to find the unit rate? Well, if it's 16 yards for 8 blankets, and the unit rate means how many yards for one blanket, what we can do to figure that out is just divide the top and bottom by 8. Because to turn 8 into a 1, we divide by 8. So 16 divided by 8 is 2. So 2 yards per blanket is the unit rate. Alright, that is good for the video. Thanks for watching.